Now this race is going to go off. The room's probably going to get pretty loud. There's probably a lot of people playing in here that are going to be shooting for a price in this race, right? So I'm sure that went into your decision. Kind of talking this race through. But you got a 7-2 out in front with an even money favorite is chasing in second. I guess I can hear the race call behind me. And then the horse that you have is stalking wide as well. In contention, just kind of sitting off that first pair.
And that was my only fear. In debut, the horse is wide throughout.
Yep.
And I was afraid with the 10 post it would happen again. But I thought maybe clear trainer instructions would save some ground.
Well, also the scratches in here kind of help you out a little bit. They've been able to stay in the clear on the outside. The chalk is moving up.
It is.
The 1 might be a threat at a price.
And the 10's got no excuse here. Great spot.
Yeah.
If you've never been to NHC, this is what it is right here. This is awesome.
There's a 7-2 on the lead. There's a 9-1 on the inside.
The 2.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, if you play mythical contests, I have a habit of hitting my alt winner. The 2 was my alt winner. I was between the 10 and the 2. I like the 10 on the plot better, so that's why I went there.
Why? So in that case, you know, it does become then a strategy, and did you like the 10 that much more overall to justify 7-2 being an overlay more than 9-1?
I not really. You know, at this point I saw the 10 was taking money. And it was one of those, you know, they know kind of things. And with the weight allowance on the apprentice, I thought, okay, you're going to save some ground, true instructions, you're going to go. You know, I didn't think the 2 at 9-1. I expected late money on the 2. You know, there's a lot of products that said the 2 looked ready to run today.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised at the number on the 2 because number-wise, just kind of speed figures alone, which is a lot of ways that people play. The 2 was as fast as the 6, and the 6 was even money. So I don't know. Just sometimes horses sneak away on the board, and that being one. But a 9-1 in a mandatory race, we heard the room could shake things up a little bit. But we'll see. We'll kind of follow the leaderboard a little bit. But you sort of know where you sit. You're still in a good spot with overall a good day. I mean, when I was over there last, you hit another 6-1, which is always great. Going into day 2, do you kind of have some preliminary strategies? Were you going to kind of like your plan going into today and just sort of keep it the same? Or are there some things that maybe you're going to tweak or maybe...
You know, when I came in today, I had all my plays set up already.
Okay.
They're on a spreadsheet, and I stuck to them. I don't let the room dictate what I'm going to play. If I like a horse at 10-1, I play the horse at 10-1. Mm-hmm. I had to remind myself a few times of stick to the plan because, you know, I'm a couple of photos away, and my plan was spot on. So my plan for tomorrow is going to be very similar. I'm going to handicap tonight and tomorrow morning. And I have a target that I was looking at for the weekend that can make the cut.
Okay.
You know, if I can get to 200 tomorrow afternoon, I think I'll see Sunday, which would be a great spot to be.
Yeah, I know people forget that because the NHC is billed as this 3-day tournament, but it's only a 3-day tournament if you're in the position to make it a 3-day tournament, right?
Oh, definitely.
It ends, you know, there is a consolation tournament, so people play for 3 days, but as far as making it that full 3 days to the final table, you do have to kind of make the cut after today. So, yeah, I mean, great job.
Thank you.
Obviously, you know, Hawthorne, we're rooting for you all the way. Friend of the show, friend of the pod, friend of all the good stuff, optics, everything. So
all of it. You know, and I just gotta say thank you to the whole team from Hawthorne. You know, if you're playing contests, Hawthorne is a great spot to be. You know, there's no take out of the contest, and the crew here is great. You know, from Emily to Steve and the marketing folks, they're all fantastic. So it's a great place for horse players to either qualify here or play in some live money contests.
All right. Well, Bryan, good luck.
Thanks, Emily. I appreciate it.
Yeah, great job. We'll talk to you tomorrow. I think let's see. We'll get a couple I don't want to hold you up.
I'm not going to hold you up. There's a whole line of Hawthorne. What is there, 12 people here from Hawthorne? I mean, it's like a conveyor belt of talent.
What do we have, 26 people? How many people do we have from Hawthorne? What's 26. Our total? 26.
26 people.
Yeah.
There's 6 that are going for $1 million.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's even better.
Yeah.
And 3 of them are past-time winners.
Yeah,
so you'll have a double winner and $1 million bonus guy,
right,
all from Hawthorne.
Potentially.
Right, and then an upsetter like yourself that's looking to join that group.
Of course.
So, yeah.
You have to just be there.
You got to, yeah.
No. Awesome. So he's coming in?
I think so, yeah. You
awesome.
guys can
we'll swap.
high-five each other. All right.
All you.
Mike.
Oh.
We meet again?
I forgot it.
All right, have a seat. So,
unofficial leader.
Excuse me,
as
sir.
we get you all
Propped up.
mic'd up.
You know, I almost got the lead in Top Gun. I want you to know that.
All right. So Tim, you're joining us. Did you have make any moves in the last race at Oaklawn?
Going into the last at Oaklawn, I was 36th.
Okay.
So I got $85 heading to tomorrow, and
again, another great place to be. We kind of want to watch the leaderboard update right now and see what's happening there. But you're having a great day. This is your first time here, right?
first time to this tournament. Yeah, I've been just a cash player a little bit.
Okay.
But you know,
okay.
My brothers both play. They got me involved. Glad they did, and it's a great experience.
And you're here with your brothers. Now, your brother Mark, he started to make some noise late in the day. He started to move up there as well.
Yeah,
Do you know what he ended up playing or what?
He caught the horse at Oaklawn, the 10 horse. That paid, I think, about 8-1.
Okay.
And that moved him up to about 68, 69. So we're both, we're both above 100. So that's good. That's.
Yeah.
I'd rather be there than at the other end. So
absolutely. So going into tomorrow, do you have a strategy? Are you going to kind of play tomorrow like you did today? Do you have that target in mind? Did you kind of think if you're at about 85 today, trying to do the same thing, is that going to get you to where you want to be?
Well,
to kind of make that cut.
The mandatory races, to me, I will handicap them just pure handicap, meaning best horses get bet. Price shouldn't matter that much, okay? Your optional races, though, I will look for horses that are second time LASIK horses, change of equipment horses, horse maybe switching barns.
Okay.
Getting maybe a better rider.
Okay.
Change of surface, synthetic to dirt, dirt to turf, turf to dirt. Because in those situations, you're trying to guess which horses. Today, I am going to run better, but their form is not. They don't look like a winner totally on the form right now.
Right.
So that's why they're 8 or 9 or 10-1.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
with those horses. When we back up and think about horses, that they're not machines, right? They don't run the same race every time. So these subtle changes can make a difference. And so you're trying to catch a horse that's improving, right?
He's ready to improve.
And at the same time, by default, those horses that do have that good form, you see it, right? And everybody sees it. That's why they're the short price, right? And so from a player, you're handicapping, is that horse going to stay the same?
Yeah.
And if you can kind of marry those two, right, where you have a horse that is in that top form, but maybe they're going to regress off their most recent effort, and you have a horse that's making a change that maybe they're not quite the best horse in the race, but they're going to move up just enough to get on that level. That's value.
You have a situation in racing right now that your 2-year-olds do not race on LASIKs. So if they
depends on the circuit.
Some circuits, most circuits are that way. There are some that do that. They let you do that. So when they come into 3-year-olds, they can get back on LASIKs. Mm-hmm. So you can have a horse that's a bleeder a little bit, and they get on LASIKs, and now you notice this. He improved a little bit, not enough that he's not going to be the favorite, but the second time maybe worked twice with LASIKs, you're kind of maybe sitting on a horse that's going to improve today, and you're going to get price.
There you go.
So the tournament it's almost like the golf tournaments. You play day one, you can get yourself knocked out if you only got $15, $20. You're chasing you know, you're chasing me at 85, okay, and I'm not, you know, I'm 50th or something. So the name of the game is to get a few priced horses to win. Don't be scared to bet a few favorites or second choices. You can't just sit back and look at price. It's
Yeah, it has to that point, it has to fit into the grand scheme of things as far as your strategy, right? Somebody I was talking to earlier, just real quick, not the greatest day, but put up 20 bucks, and I'm like, you know, you never know, that 20 bucks, you have a great day tomorrow, that 20 bucks, not doing anything today necessarily, but it's going to make the difference in the long run. So, Tim, thank you so much for jumping on and joining me. Good luck tomorrow. Good luck with your studying. Hopefully you can get some sleep, some water, some food, all that good stuff, and come back tomorrow.
Hopefully I won't study long and study wrong. So
there is a balance there. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We will we'll chat with you tomorrow.
Thanks.
You can. We'll swap that out. We're doing some transitions on the mic. Thanks, Tim.
When you
All
sit
right.
on the chair, sit towards the
while we're
front
doing
of it.
while we're
Okay.
doing the mic
Sit up.
transfer,
Okay.
Steve
Because
Decaspers
then
is
we're
going
done.
to
All right.
come up.
All right.
You're gonna have to
Steve,
beat me there. I look
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. All right. So Steve Decaspers and Rhonda comes over and said, "I talked to Steve. He says I'm having a good day."
Hi, neighbor. Yes, yeah, I had a good day. What a grind! It was a very, very grindy day. I mean, you saw 9-1 come in the finale, and people were like treating it like a 50-1 shot. It was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, a price. No, it was a good day. I'm about 91 and change.
Okay.
I think that's good for top 30 or top 40.
Okay.
And today was a story of picking the right horses, but not evaluating the race correctly in any way. So Gulfstream Park, was it the mandatory at Gulfstream Park on the turf? I had the horse from California, the 5 horse, yeah.
Okay.
Had the horse from California, planning to come from off the pace, goes straight to the front and wires him.
All right.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I mean, totally wrong, like terrible evaluation of the race, but it worked out for me. Yeah.
It worked out. Yeah. I mean, sometimes those things are out of your control, right? You have a horse that's live, and sometimes they know it's live, and they're like, just don't get into trouble, go to the front. California speed, the rails are out at 42 feet. Let's see what happens. So one of the things I want to talk to you about, because you texted me a few days ago, as you mentioned we're neighbors, so we met at the Hawthorne tournament, talked a little bit. Is you said, oh, it's great, you know, you'll be in Vegas, and I said, when do you get there? You're like, I'm already here, so you shipped in early.
Shipped in early, yeah.
Yeah,
Shipped in early, got acclimated over the track. For how early I shipped in, I should have had way more handicapping completed by today. But you know what? I work remotely, so actually, you know, took a lot of calls from Caesar's Palace.
Yeah.
It was great. I mean, I feel good. I'm not like that. I don't have any time zone messed up or anything like that. It's so I ship in early. It's, you know, it's not very stressful, and you know, I may play long shots when I'm playing the horses, but I play the chalk when we go out to eat in Vegas, and it's a very good area for that.
Yeah.
I got to give credit. I got to give credit to Mike Welsh on that 5 at Gulfstream. The workout report. They said she had been working with Detroit City, a very sort of fast and sharp sprinter. That came up. That kind of put me over the top there. I got to give credit to the jockeys at the fairgrounds, other than Martin Pedrosa, for getting my other wire-to-wire turf horse, another 5 in the Mando from Fairgrounds, and I mean they just all grabbed and and that horse just went. So
no, that's it. I mean, that's it. Just putting yourself in that position, and I think there is something to be said of getting here early, and I've heard that in the past players kind of doing that more and more. Because there is that, whether it's a time change or just sleeping in a different bed or whatever, having yourself prepared. We saw going back over the holidays, like the flight things, you never know what the weather's going to be. So alleviating all of that and coming in early, and then you know you have your friends here, you're all set up for the tournament. So as far as tomorrow, what's your plan?
I mean, Tomorrow's plan is to play the sheet. That's the most important thing.
What does that mean?
So I create an Excel spreadsheet that lists all the post times, all the horses, all the mandatories, everything like that. It's probably the most organized I am in my entire life. I mean, that is not necessarily a strength of mine. So, and the key is to play the sheet. Believe in your handicapping. Believe in the handicapping you did when you weren't under any pressure, when you were really evaluating. Watch a lot of replays. I mean, if you're not watching replays, you're missing the boat. Honestly, that horse in the last at Oaklawn was upsetting because that horse had a very difficult trip. I ended up on the runner-up because I thought she was going to go to the lead and wire. But yeah, that
was what they did.
That's what they did. They did the right thing. She just wasn't good enough.
Wasn't good enough. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you have to know the spots where you're going to pick, and then you also have to know where you can improv. And it's really, really important that you have 3 or 4 solid spots that you have a conviction play on a horse. It's also a little important to improv, and I think that's how success is had in this, and there's really no formula for it. I mean, hey, I go 0 for 18 tomorrow. That is on the table. In fact, the guys back at my table are probably taking odds on that happening right now. So.
Well, the thing is I think if you have a good strategy going in and you are able to execute, if you go 0 for 18 tomorrow, but you did what you needed to do, right? And you played horses at the right prices, you agreed on your plays, you didn't have any mistakes, and it doesn't work out, or it's not your day, or whatever, that's the way it lands. It's the times where you start making mistakes, or you second guess yourself, or you miss a play, or those are the things that, I like that horse, but I know the odds were too short, and I played it anyways, and then that horse gets beat. Those are the times that I made a mistake, and I probably should have kind of reassess, right? That's one of the things, like when I don't know if you caught any of the Friday live streams, we play races live and we try to go over that exercise and that practice a lot of, we do our handicapping ahead of time, but when it comes down to the race and we start talking about the actual odds, maybe that shifts, right? That maybe your top choice in a race is even money, but you're not playing that even money horse, right? And then that creates some options elsewhere. Or the horse that you like, you look at the visuals and you're like, that horse is going nuts on the track. Yeah. There is no way I'm backing that horse, right?
Be prepared, but be ready to adjust.
There you go.
That's probably that's the nature of tournament horse playing. The other nature of tournament horse playing, especially in a contest this big, right? 36 bets over 2 days in the first 2 days. You are going to do something that makes you feel like an absolute idiot. And I did that today. I got off a horse, I ended up on another one. He ran terribly, and I just felt like a total idiot. Not allowing those things, you've got to expect 1 or 2 of those, and you can't allow them to throw you off and throw you off your game, the game that you prepared for, or the moments where you're going to adjust.
I think that's good, and trying to minimize those mistakes, getting yourself kind of off tilt, or when that the room goes nuts and you don't have a horse, or you start dropping down the leaderboard, things like that just you kind of have to take a deep breath, exhale, and get right back in the game and get to your plan and just start playing, get to the place that got you there, right?
Yeah, and if we have full fields on turf tomorrow and some really other exciting things, there are going to be prices come in. This room is going to be nuts tomorrow. You got to keep it under control.
Yeah, especially tomorrow, you've got a lot of people that have nothing to lose too.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
those people can be dangerous, especially if some bombs start coming in early.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't want to hold you up because I don't know if you have dinner plans or you got
No. Penn State and Indy Lions versus Northwestern.
Okay.
Go State. That's what's going to be my focus for the next 2 hours. Then we'll go to the horses.
All right. Perfect. All right. Well, good luck, neighbor.
Okay. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Were we able to get AJ? Is he? Oh.
AJ. You got time still?
I'll make it work.
All right. Mic'd up.
this is the downfall of being popular. Everyone wants to talk to you.
It's totally fine. I think I'm getting better at it as we move forward.
Okay.
Used to be a little bit rougher in 2020, so.
Was 2020 the first year that you qualified? The first year that you qualified, you also were at final table that year, right?
No, I led that year for the first day and almost halfway through the second day.
Okay, so what was it your
Last
second year?
Third year.
The third year that you qualified is when you were at final table?
Yep.
Okay. Do you remember I reached out to you on Twitter after that? I thought that was such a slick play, so that's why I talk about it now. Because at that point in time that you were in third, you didn't need to play a horse that was that number, like
no,
mathematically.
It was just the horse I liked.
It was and so like when they popped up that number, and so I was with some people and we're talking about like the mathematics side, right, of like whose people are gonna play and like what makes sense based on the board, and that horse came up and you were like, what is that person doing? Like, why would they play that horse? It makes no sense. And then the more I thought, and one, I like that horse because I was doing the handicapping for Brisbane at that time.
Yep.
And I'm trying to remember if that was a horse that was I know it was a Jonathan Wong horse that had either been
Echo
like
Smith.
first. Yeah, Echo Smith. That had either been, was it second time U.S. or was it first time U.S. but was training huge, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I was like, I like that horse too. So it made sense why you played it because I'm like, that horse was live, right? And then the more I thought about it, I'm like, it was just such a slick play, like strategy-wise, because you didn't have to play it, but you knew you weren't going to get blocked by it, right?
I was hoping somebody wasn't as curious as I was. He just looked great on the track. He got like B- clocker grades. They said he was training well. He loses all that weight. It's just Cedillo didn't really give me a really great ride.
No, it was a bad ride, but I always remember that. That's why I didn't know you. I'd never talked to you before, but I was like, I just kept thinking about how cool that was. And then I've talked to you since. We talked on Twitter a little bit. We talked a little bit in the room. We met in person for the first time today.
Yep.
You're having another good day, maybe the most consistent NHC player of all time. Going out on a limb saying that right now. I guess there's maybe not too early, but you're sitting in second right now. Yep. What's kind of have you altered your strategy over the years coming in? What have you kind of learned? What do you try to do?
So I've learned that, patience is key, right? People just love to run and bet horses that maybe they don't like. So I always have a list of horses that I love, and then I'll have horses that I'll take at, monster odds that I think maybe can maybe win or run second, you know what I mean? And I love it because I'm actually going down with the horses that I would actually play on a regular basis at home or online or anywhere else. So I do a lot of work. I put about 15 hours into this. And from December to the end of February, I did all of my, optional, playing it out and seeing if I could just get in that mold. So when I come here, I didn't have to think about anything.
So what does that? I'm sorry, I'm going to pause you real quick. So what does that entail? Do you kind of what do you do? Like, what does that
so I'll
mean
grab
for you?
like 5 racetracks and I'll do favorite, price, and I'll go through a whole card and see how many times I'm right when it's a price and how many times I'm right when the favorite wins, and I just see if that's still the same because I've used it the same way now for 4 years. So as long as I can stay in that mindset, favorite or price, or what the likelihood of it is, and if I can stay within that 50 to 62.5% range of being right, I know what races I can be playing in and what races I should be staying out of.
That's so cool. I love that because we talk about that. So much that gets missed of the ability to be able to assess a favorite, and everything starts from that, right?
Yeah.
Of being able to assess that favorite.
Yeah,
because,
tell me what you're a victim of.
Yeah.
Are you a front runner that needs to be out by yourself, or are you a closer that needs a bunch of pace in front of you to help you with your run? The only problem I have is with horses that sit mid-pack that can get the best of it both ways, and those are usually horses that win a lot of races because they put themselves in position to win. And those are usually your grade 1 horses, your grade 2 horses, your grade 3 horses. For some reason, they're smart enough to put themselves in position.
Yeah.
every time.
A lot of that there's a component of class, and class is so hard to define sometimes because it's that's ability to be consistent and do something good over and over and over again. Because you see a lot with horses, and this is where you start catching prices too, because you have horses run good races, horses run bad races, horses run one good race, 4 bad, 1 good, and being able to assess that form cycle. Those horses that are classy do it. They run good races again and again and again. They're few and far between, but that's why there's few and far graded stakes races and multiple graded stakes winners. It's not,
And they beat up on each other all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they know the competition, they can see it. They can see it in the paddock. The horses know, man. Like,
yeah.
They're smarter than what anybody would give them credit for. They know, like, when they're feeling good, they'll tell you they're feeling good, and they'll jump out of the page. And like the last race at Oaklawn, the horse was jumping out of his skin. I was like, this horse is gonna run a huge race.
Yeah, no, that horse was kind of overlay odds as well, because it was a horse that had numbers that stacked up right with the even money horse. So just kind of snuck away on the board. But those opportunities, when they present themselves, being able to jump on them. Do you have since you're saying that you're playing 5 tracks all the time, is there one that you tend to go towards, lean towards? Do you have a preference, or by contrast, do you have a certain type of race, like non-winners of 2, turf?
No, I take the card at it as it is. So whatever they card for the day is what I play, and then I go through it. I'll write down either a P or an F, and I'll take Gulfstream, I'll take Laurel, I'll take Fairgrounds when they run, I'll take Santa Anita, I'll take Oaklawn, and I'll just look through all of it. And I want to be in that 50 to 62.5% range. And as long as I can stay between those numbers, I'm totally confident with it. And with this, I just want to be within $50 of the lead. That's all I really care about. As long as I'm within $50, I feel like I'm more than in contention to play this.
Okay.
But these players are unbelievable too. Like,
no
I'm
doubt.
asking for a lot, so I have high expectations. Being here 4 times, cashing 3. There's so much pressure on me to cash a 4th time. I don't think it's been done. It probably has, but.
Where do you, the pressure from yourself, or do you feel
from myself?
external for yourself? Okay.
Yeah, the pressure is so hard on myself because I don't want to let my wife down, my family down. You know what I mean? Because I look at it as this is your chance to be in the spotlight, and you don't want to, disappoint.
How do you balance that? Because that can be overwhelming. As somebody, I've played sports and had to deal with pressure in the past, and it can be overwhelming. Like, how do you balance that, or how do you kind of put yourself to where, because especially in this, right, when you have those type of pressures, to be able to at least block them out for the moment that you need to play, right?
Yeah, your decisions have to be precise, and you have to pick and choose when you're going into a race and when you're not. And I have to look at him on the track to see, okay, is this horse ready to run today? And if he's not, then I just skip the race. And I usually, like today, Santa Anita canceled, so I had to go to my, just in case the track cancels, Ben, which would be a group of 4 races that I had slotted for Santa Anita, and I get a couple of horses that run at decent odds and our prices. So, and that's fine. It's bailed me out in the past, and it obviously bailed me out today. But I'm just happy to be here playing in this event. I love this event. I think it's a good memory game to try and pick winners, stay out of races, and just do the best you can with what they're going to give you.
Okay, so do you play, in order to get here, do you play mostly online, or do you go to like the brick and mortar and try to qualify
So
online?
I play online primarily. I have back problems, so I can't really travel too much. But the conversation between me and my buddy is we might be coming down to see you at Hawthorne if I do.
Oh!
So, yeah,
Look
for
at that.
Thanksgiving.
I don't even have that for Thanksgiving?
Yes.
They're such, your friends, so this is a mutual friend, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Well, obviously, maybe we can even talk invitational if you guys are interested in that
right.
as well. But that would be awesome. The Hawthorne tournaments are great, and you might scare a few people in the room a little bit. Make
I
the
doubt it.
Chicago Horseplayers work a little bit.
I'm just a regular guy, Emily. You know what I mean? I work 2 jobs, and there's really nothing special about me. There really isn't.
Well, I met George earlier, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's in person for the first time, so as advertised, both you guys, super good people. I don't want to hold you up too much, but I appreciate you chatting. Hopefully we'll chat more. If I keep seeing you up there, I'm going to keep dragging you over, and we'll keep talking horses. That's
totally fine. Thank you for having me over, and there's so many great players in this room, and I wish them all the best. And you're never out of this game. You can literally put up nothing and have a great day tomorrow and be in contention or at the final table. So don't put your head down. You just keep grinding away at it, and keep positive thoughts. For me, I treat this like Game 7 of the NHL playoffs. The Stanley Cup's on the line, all in or all out. So I just give it every ounce of energy I have, and I do the best of what they give me.
And the hockey reference, as I heard, you had to choose horses or hockey, and you chose horses. So that was a nod to the hockey reference.
Yeah, that was the wife. She said we can only hemorrhage money in one direction. So you can hemorrhage it for a hockey team, or you can hemorrhage it at horses. And after watching Horseplayers and stuff, I've been playing horses my whole life, and I've been playing bombs my whole life too. So I thought maybe might as well give it a shot. You know what I mean? It's my first love. Horses are my second love. So.
Well, as somebody that was briefly on the Horseplayers show, did you know I was on there? Did you? I'm on there for like 10 seconds, I think, so.
Hey, you're famous compared to me.
I've actually done 2 reality shows with that company.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the other one we'll talk about another day.
Well, as they say, I love your stuff on Twitter. I find it, these people just sometimes are rough on people, but you know what? You're putting your best numbers out there, and if they're willing to take information for free or if they're willing to pay for it, it still comes down to the horse, and sometimes they just don't run for you. So
yeah, all right.
Throw shade on them.
All right, awesome. Well, good job today. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great night.
All right.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Emily.
All right, we got one more pulled in off the also eligible list apparently.
I'm gonna get energy.
You gotta do that over here so we can see you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna be an end of the day interview fail.
He's coming in strong. He's coming in as a performer.
Coming in, we got the shake-up dance before.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta sit up tall because they have me on this throne. So
you're up there.
I'm way up here. So Matt Miller's joining us, qualified through Hawthorne, one of the players that's in for $1 million bonus. How'd your day one go?
Every bit as poorly as I forecasted.
Well, we asked people to play to expectations. Why did you think that?
This, I've said it before. Almost, people are almost sick of hearing it. I'm a horse player. I'm a bettor. Mm-hmm. This takes away a lot of my creativity, a lot of my weapons. I'm an average handicapper, and if I'm being honest, this tournament in particular, I'm not even sure rewards handicapping quite the right way. And so, a bit crazy, but my handicapping, well, you could argue my handicapping is reflective of my results, because my results were absolutely terrible. But right, I don't really have regrets. The horses that beat me are not horses I would have found, and so, okay, there's tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think there's so much to that, because I think the worst that when I've talked to people and I've played myself, those days that are the toughest are the days that you make mistakes. And when you make mistakes, that's what sticks with you. Is it's not even so much the results, but even as when you're betting, there are certain times where it's like, even if you have a hit and you go back and you look at your bets and you're like, man, I should have been
100%.
Those are the times that even when you win, they kind of stick with you. So certainly, but when you do everything right, when it doesn't work out, it's so much easier to just kind of like move forward and push forward.
100. Well, look, you don't feel as responsible for the result on the racetrack. You're responsible for what you can control. And when you do something that you wish you didn't do, and that you regret almost instantly, it's right. It's maddening, and you really start questioning things. Right, picking the wrong horse, or finding a data point that proved to be the wrong one to seize on, I can get over that very quickly. But playing it wrong, I've got a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that also is such a good skill to have, to be able to assess the difference of those two things, right? Of being able to recognize mistakes, fixing those mistakes because they're fixable, and then when you are doing everything right and it doesn't work out, you know that at least you're doing the right process, right? You can be objective with yourself and recognize it just didn't go my way, or there's times where you streak hot, there's times where you streak cold, and you go through those patterns and pushing through. So I think that's huge for people to hear, and especially from you, because you've had really great success, mostly BCBC.
So I'll give an interesting perspective on at least the beginning of the day. This is something it's not really a fully developed thought, if I'm being honest. I realized for the horses I'm playing in this tournament that the kinds of horses that are going to beat me are favorites. And so somewhat unexpectedly, I started playing cash earlier in the day, betting the favorites that I was afraid of beating my price horses. I had one of the better cash betting days I've had in years today, because I just kept losing to 8 to 5 shots that kept hitting, and these doubles kept paying 11 for $2, and if you hit them hard enough. So it's part of the reason I'm not too upset about how I've done it.
Okay, all right. A little buffer, yeah.
At least something has gone well, but look, being honest, I would I would way prefer to have done well in this tournament. It's so much fun. There's so much pride involved. I don't want to sound overprivileged that way. I'm always happy to win and feel great about it, but I would trade in that win for a better placing in a heartbeat.
Okay, so where did you end up at the?
It's 600th. I mean, it's miserable. I'm probably at about $35.
Okay.
Look, no one's out of it after day one, so I'm hardly throwing in the towel. But at $30, you kind of quickly have to catch some things. I do think the races tomorrow will be quite different than today. I do not expect as many short prices, so you're just going to have to be right. But I think the horses themselves are going to cooperate in terms of giving opportunity. It's just whether you're jumping to the right stones or not, and we'll see.
Right, and kind of to sort of add on that, today, we've talked about it a little bit on here, but today with the cancellation of Santa Anita and then Golden Gate earlier in the week, and not having as many races to choose from, that limits your options of optional races, right? And by default, that also puts you in the same optional races as a lot of other people. So being able to have more races tomorrow allows you to try to find some separation, try to find some different spots, in addition to having just more overall, right?
For those who are frustrated by the format of this tournament, what happened today is tough, because essentially by compacting everything, when a price horse wins, the impact of you not having that is a huge problem. When a cap horse wins in a mandatory race, you're pretty much out of the tournament if that happens more than a couple times and you didn't get one of those. And so on a day like today, that was kind of the consequence. A couple 8-to-1 shots, 6-to-1 shots hit. You've got a serious problem on this leaderboard when you're not hitting that. Like I said, though, I think the good news is I'm not predicting bombs or whatever tomorrow necessarily, but I wouldn't be at all surprised to see plenty in that 6 to 15-to-1 range. I think if you can handicap or guess correctly, okay, you might be able to put something together to quickly make up for a shortfall on day one, but yeah, this was pretty miserable, and I'll be honest.
So as I'm going to kind of utilize your strengths as far as being a strong kind of overall player, what do you think the number will be at the end of day 2 tomorrow? Like the top, the leader, and then kind of like the top 10. Where do you think those numbers are going to be?
I'm going to confess I don't remember the historical numbers, but after essentially the scratch of the racetracks, what I said to the group was I would probably take that total down $10 or $15. I'm going to guess this is just going to be a depressed total in general. We also, I remember last year, saw some real bombs in some mandatories that blew up totals quite a bit. So I think this year the totals are going to look a bit more lame relative to prior years, but this was every bit as challenging a tournament, and in a lot of ways, I think it's one instance. So it's you don't want to take too much of a conclusion, but this is a year where the non-bomb players kind of scored one, and those that said I'm not just going to take crazy long shots, I'm going to considerately make my picks. This tournament so far is playing well for those people.
Yeah. I had AJ Benton who's sitting in second, and I didn't say this on here, but I kind of call him like a YOLO player, which at first was like a term that I hated because it was so like spring breaky, and now it's kind of I've kind of been able to like develop this into where it's being repurposed for like artists that take risks in their art, right? That they're able to see this space of, okay, well this formula is going this direction, but I'm going to just do this like little bit of tweak. I'm going to take that risk, and that happens a lot, like kind of in these type of tournaments.
Totally.
And I think it takes that level of creativity.
Well, and seizing on that, I'll give you a way I've talked about this in the past. Part of the trick to these tournaments is finding unclaimed space. In the live money tournament world, I've been pretty successful in doing that. I have found a space where many people are just wildly uncomfortable, and somehow I'm relatively chill and cool being in that space, and other people have a really hard time with it. It is not easy with this many people and this few races to find unclaimed space. We're all playing the same long shots, and so it takes, I'm not in any way trying to say something negative about the winner or the people doing well, but there is a lot of luck in just jumping from right place to right place and getting it on the right entry if you're blessed with two. It's hard. The answer, before you ask it, I think it is my entry without the bonus that is doing better than the one with.
Okay.
Right, you would have figured that probably.
Yeah. Did you have, I'll ask you one more question, then I'll let you go. I don't want to keep you so long, but I'm finding this conversation really interesting. What was your strategy as far as having those two entries going in, and how you were gonna play them and try to strategize them?
The people in my life that compare me to Larry David knew exactly how this was going to go. I am absolutely the kind of person that hits with a second entry. And so there was, when they said, which entry do you want to put it on? It was a complete no-brainer. I'm going to try my hardest on my A entry, and I'm going to put the bonus on the B. And, right, it's not working out quite yet, but nothing's really working out.
Okay, so you, just in terms of, if I'm understanding right, like you played those two entries separately. You weren't like, here's this one horse, I'm playing it on both. Or did
Correct.
you use that?
So it's funny you're touching on that. For everyone watching and listening, that's the better strategy when you have two entries in a tournament like this. What I'm doing maximizes fun and entertainment, but it is not the proper way to play with two entries. Really, probably deep into day two, I'd say you should keep those exactly the same, and then the power and leverage you get from spreading at that point is infinitely more powerful than the nonsense I'm doing right now, but it's just a lot more fun, if I'm being honest, to have two bombs to root for in a race than having one.
Okay, but you were playing two bombs in the same race.
Same race, even in my optionals.
So that's still somewhat of a strategy, because at least your opinion is, I'm against the favorite and I'm getting myself coverage.
I am picking in this case, I'm picking a spot. I'm picking against a favorite. I'm liking the 11 horse field. I'm not liking the 6-5 favorite. Okay, it's a bit of guesswork after that.
Yeah.
And right, the number of times I've reduced it to 4 horses, I picked 2 and it was one of the 2 I didn't. Okay, so I was close, but those don't get me that upset. It's when you bet it wrong that you'll get me.
Well, I mean, to go back to that, so your entry to get you here at the live money tournament, because I was sitting next to you and talking, is that you did essentially you played 2 entries, but you played them kind of as one entry, right? Because you played $500 in the same race, and you just basically were like, this is my stronger opinion, so I'm betting heavier, even though it was the same double. You played the same double, A, B, but you played, if I'm remembering this correctly, you played it, no, I'm sorry, you played one entry, you did $250, and you did one in one direction and the other. Yeah, so a little bit of separation, but kind of the same kind of the same idea to some extent with strong coverage.
I'm gonna give away a secret that I swear people should replay if they really understand what I'm saying. This is not because this is a Hawthorne broadcast, by the way, but this strategy works perfectly with tournaments of your style where there's no entry fee, everything is live bankroll. If you can find a spot where reasonably there's only 1 or 2 or 3 horses that could win the race, and if you look to the next race and see the same thing, you can go all in on one entry with a daily double, you can go all in with the other entry on a different daily double, and you can cover the combo you didn't cover with a large cash bet on the side. Large. Such that you really don't care. Did the cash bet win? Did the tournament bet win? We all want to win tournaments. We all put a huge premium on the fun, on the prizes, on the seats, on the notoriety. And so it's essentially a test of how much are you going to pay me to leave this tournament? And if you do a good job of spot picking, it doesn't take genius. There's 7 horses in a race. There's 3 horses that are 2-1. The others are 30-1. There's your spot, right? It's going to be one of those 3. And so you can't collude with yourself. That is not an illegal play. That is also not Dutching where you're taking 2 entries and spreading everywhere to... Right. You still have an opinion. It's, to go look at a day of races and say, okay, in this race I'm going to take 1 horse and in this race I'm going to take 2. No one would look at that and say you shouldn't be allowed to do that. And yet it's tremendously helpful. But finding those spots is really the key.
Well, let's end on that because that's huge. I think it's good information. This is fun. This is a good,
Happy to. Anytime.
Yeah, and obviously we're rooting for you on either ticket going forward. All right, thank you for everybody that's watching on the Hawthorne live feed. We'll be back tomorrow with more updates, more conversations with players. Thanks again for joining us and tuning in.
Good night.
That was cool.
Okay,
Awesome.
anytime.
Thanks for hanging out a little bit.
Well, it's fun.